Adjusting your lead and trail is a huge adjustment on these cars, and you'll be surprised. You can do one turn, which is only an eighth of an inch. Say, for example, you decided that you didn't want that angle, you wanted it actually lower. Well, if you feel that tightens the car up too much, you could actually put a turn of trail in it by lengthening this lower bar and bringing this back. That's how you counteract steer. You can adjust static steer so that the dynamic steer is more correctable. In other words, you can run 5/8 of an inch of lead in the rear of the car if you wanted to, because once it's on the racetrack, it never sees that static lead. Say we had 3 inches of steer in this car. Well, we know that when the car is sitting where it's supposed to be, when it's coming up off the corner, the angles that it are, if we suck this right rear ahead, that counteracts that steer so that the car, when it does have the steer, still can come off the corner straighter. Same thing if the car is a little bit too tight up off the corner, right off the corner. You can put a little bit of lead in that car. I don't run a tremendous amount of lead, but some guys like a lot of lead and a lot of steer. It's just a driver preference on what you feel comfortable with there. But it's not out of the ordinary to adjust this, and that's where pretty much at the racetrack, the majority of the adjustments that I've ever really do on a sport mod is lengthen, shorten, raise or lower this trailing arm. That's pretty much the adjustments that we do. And change this shock if it's real slick. But that's a big deal to counteract. If you have a lot of steer in the car, you can put static lead in a car, because when you're on the racetrack, it's still going to have trail in it no matter what. The old way of thinking was, well, you can't run lead in the car because then it's going to drag the car down the straightaway. Well, as far as that left rear goes forward, this car is going to be in a roll steer situation all the time. We're just taking it so that it has less dynamic, because we started with more lead in the car, so that when it does trail back, it doesn't trail back as far. Do you understand what I just said? Okay. The other thing common, the trailing arm lengths, like I said, the left rear, I always run it at least a minimum of 18 degrees. And it'd have to be a pretty heavy racetrack for me to try to lower that left rear. Probably should, because we don't have a lot of horsepower. And getting through phase 2, maybe sometimes that left rear angle actually costs you a little speed because it's taking a little horsepower. I'm just telling you what I have done in the past. Heavy racetracks, once again, closing up that split between the trailing arms, putting more angle in the right rear, maybe taking a little out of the left rear is definitely going to help the car drive through the corner better and put more bite. You're taking a little bite away from the left rear and a little more on the right rear to help the car turn.